Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I'm going to do a disassembly for you of this little knife right here. This is the CRKT Folding Razel by Cricut, a Columbia River knife and tool. But I say Cricut because ain't nobody got time for that. This knife is on loan from my buddies over the Birdshot IV channel, Frankie and Bud. So thank you very much for giving it to me, for loaning and for having enough faith to let me take it apart here. This is going to be interesting because this is actually the first time I've ever taken apart a knife that's got the Cricut locks system. What is it? Lake and Walker something system. I don't know. But whatever it is, it locks the blade open. When you push this guy forward, you can no longer move the liner forward. So I'm going to have to, walk around that. And should be interesting otherwise. So let's go on ahead and get started with the disassembly. This is interesting to me, this knife particularly, because, well, I'm a big fan of the Razel blade shape. I've got myself a mid-tech Razel directly from John Graham that I like very much, and I'm using a T8 driver here, and these look like T6. And so to see what Cricut did with this in production is separately and differently interesting. So, I'm very happy to check this out. Is this free spinning? Sure is. Okay, so we got a T6 here, and unfortunately it's a free spinning T6. So let me pull out my other driver, put it in the other side. So, come on now. There we go. My buddy Bud constantly rants, with good reason, about T6 as a bit. D6 is just too damn small. Let's be honest here, because there's not that much to it, and I don't like that very much at all. There we go. It's pop free. I believe this is maybe a Chicago screw arrangement. Want to find out where it's captive, but these bits just seem tiny and fiddly, and I don't love it. It's a long screw. Okay. Then we've got these guys over here, and I'm not necessarily sure how this works out. Okay, that one's just coming out straightforwardly. But I really do wish that more people, that's one of the things I like so much about, well, for instance, if you look at your Chris Reeve Knives Sabenza here, you got these nice deep, nice big tools. I'm sorry, not tools, but screws on it. So it's very, very straightforward to take down. You're not going to strip it out. You're not going to have trouble with your tools slipping out. It's straightforward. So I appreciate that very much where I can get it, but, I can't get it everywhere. And companies like CRKT, well, unfortunately, small and fiddly seems to be a part of their game. So I'm going to keep taking this down. Unfortunately, I'm in a situation here where I'm having trouble getting this bit out. I kind of suspect that what might be going on here is just that it's, this spacer is free spinning in there. Yeah, that's ugly. So what I'm going to have to do is grab a piece of pliers. There we go. Pair of pliers. Just gently grab onto that. And then hopefully, there we go. It broke free. There appears to be some sort of a fossilized thread locker in there, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. And there we go. So those are pulled out of there. The next question is, do I need to take this out? Yeah, I do. And unfortunately, again, this is a free spinning back spacer. So I'm going to use my pliers there. Wow, that's just not coming loose there. That's ugly. Well, let's see how close we are to having this knife apart without taking that off. So in a perfect world, what I'd be able to do is to completely take this bit of G10 off. Actually, here, this will do the trick for us. It's not a great solution, but it is what it is. On these cheaper knives, you sometimes just need to make it happen. Oh, Teflon washers, that's a shame. And the blade of this is magnetized, which is entertaining to me separately. But okay. I see. These are hidden screws underneath the scale. Tricky. Tricky, tricky. All right. So we've got this guy largely apart. But anyways, what you want to be able to do is coat this surface here with some sort of a rust protectant in order to avoid those issues. Okay, now let's see here what we've got. Oh, well, that's stupidly easy. So now we can see the interior of a locks system, the LAWKS thing. So when the knife is closed, this can't engage any further. You can see here, oh, I should actually put it on camera, that this little wheel here just controls this little spinning disc here. And so when the knife is closed, this can't really engage. But once it pops open, you can put it all the way, and then it slips underneath the lock, and then hopefully you can see this. That just prevents the lock bar from moving over. That's stupidly simple in a lot of ways. Well, I'm sorry, that's brilliantly simple. Because that's... well, I don't even know how to put it, but basically, that's kind of a cool idea. I don't know that it's super necessary, and I'm not sure I would trust this little tiny piece of metal right here for all of my finger protecting needs, but at the same time, kind of a neat idea. So I respect that. That is kind of brilliant. The other thing I'm going to do is take off the clip here. This is notable in that it actually ships with two clips. You have a conventional pocket clip, which fits this interestingly shaped hole up there, as well as a Graham-style clip. And the Graham-style clip is this little guy right here, and it's the better of the two clip options in my personal opinion, but then again, I'm a little bit biased. I love the Graham clip. I think it's one of the best clips on the market. But anyways, whoa there, now I'm throwing everything. But, yeah, so you can swap in and out these this clip. So you can put the Graham-style clip into it, or you can not. And I'll take this apart just to show you how the Graham-style clip works in there. This is going to be a longer video already. Oh, man, I'm working completely off camera. Hold on, let me raise my camera up slightly, because that's a problem. There we go. Sorry for the vertigo there. There we go. That should be a little better. Had it down low for a watch review earlier in the day here. Okay, so now the Graham-style clip just pops out, and so to install it, all you need to do is slide it right into this little area here, and then put in those screws. But with this done, actually, great. We can go ahead and rotate this off to the way here. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get the pivot out of here, which is itself a little bit ugly. Oh, no, there it went. Hey, beautiful. We are fully disassembled. There's a lot of screws, but we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this together, one step at a time. So, here we go. We see that this knife is kind of a little bit more complex than perhaps it needs to be, but, you know, it's not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and start off. I'm just using some rubbed alcohol on a little piece of cloth. If you are curious what tools I'm using here, I've got a video about the tools I use to disassemble knives. It has everything, and it's got links in the description, so there's no need to ask that in the comments anymore. See, I listen to my, well, fans, or at least the random jackasses who watch my videos. So there you go. Now I'm going to wash off the dang of the blade here. Not that dirty, actually. Reasonably well made. Doesn't have some of the worst of the excesses that you sometimes see coming out of Cricut, weird grinds and things like that. That's good. It's worth noting, though, that I tried to buy one of these knives, the Cricut Folding Razels, and unfortunately, when I got it, it was so off-center that it, you know, it was scraping the edge of the, it was scraping the edge of the liners, and, you know, I pulled it out of the package, I saw that, and it was just like, you know, okay, I might be able to fix this, but then I would just be rewarding their bad behavior. So I just sent it back. I regret that at some level, but at the very real level, I do not, especially given that my buddies Frankie and Bud have one that I could borrow for review. And I want to send it back to them in great shape. So that's now good to go. That's good to go. It's using Teflon washes, as some of you may be aware. If you've watched the channel for, 10, 15 seconds, I'm not a huge fan of Teflon washes. My reasoning for that is just that the action they provide doesn't tend to be very good. You know, it's okay here in a situation. You know, this is not God's gift to knife making anyways. You're looking at like $20, I think, for this. I'll check prices, but, you know, that's fine. But it doesn't bring me any joy. And, you know, particularly for a knife that's meant to be a little bit more tool-like, I don't know, but whatever. I'm not going to beat them up too bad. It's not like, say, $170 Spyderco on Teflon. Yeah, I'm still bitter. That's a reference to the Spyderco Ouroboros. I feel bad about that at some level. You know, it's a great design. It's a great knife. But the moment I pointed that out, a lot of people just took it right off the list. So, shame for the designer, but he's been really classy about it. I'll say that. And hopefully they don't make that mistake again. Trying to get this gunk off of here. It's one of the advantages to using these little patches for doing this is it's nicer to remove gunk. You know, a paper towel would have shredded already. This is still giving me some scrub-a-tude. I think I've got the bulk of it off of there. There's our little locks thing. Clean off the Teflon. And note that I say Teflon washes. I make no claim that this is actually the Teflon material. Could just be a plastic, PVC. So, you know, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I don't like it. That's for damn sure. Clean off this scale here. And I believe that actually covers all the parts we need to clean off, so we can just get started with the reassembly. Okay, step number one I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply some rust protectant to the scales, and I'm going to use frog lube. This is a rust protectant compound. It's nice in that it doesn't, you know, it's not particularly nasty. It's some sort of a plant oil, I believe. But, you know, so it smells okay. It's nice to apply. It's pleasant enough to work with. I can put this on a knife and my fiance won't recoil in horror when I go back into the other room smelling vaguely like wintergreen, as opposed to, you know, a Ballistol or something like that. Tough Glide was brutal. So, just applying a little bit of it here. Probably not super necessary, but at the same time, definitely not a bad idea. And I'll do the same thing over here on this side. Just putting a nice thin coat on everything. You can go a little thicker on the side facing the scale. And the goal here is just to remove or at least reduce the possibility that if a little water gets into here, that the scale itself is going to start rusting away. The liner, that is going to start rusting away. And I'll switch to the other side, a little lighter on the inside. There we go. That's beautiful. Case closed, problem solved. Alrighty. And what the heck, this blade is 100% magnetized. That's excellent. I have no idea how that happened, but I'm probably going to bother Frankie and Bert about it later on. Ask them how the heck they managed to magnetize a Razel. But hey, that's okay. So there's that. All right, rust protection is now applied. Oh, I'm gonna hit this lock spot thing just because why not, right? It'll also help to provide a little bit of lubrication, although frog lube isn't stellar lubrication itself. Okay, so that's all set. Now let's go ahead and put this little guy back together. What I'm going to go ahead and do here is use... Oh, what am I going to go ahead and use? 10 weight nano, why not, right? This is just boring old nano oil. And I'm going to go ahead, and because this pivot took a little bit of doing to get out of there to start with, and because I'm going to need to lube it anyways, I'm going to lube it before I put the liner on. And my dream, my goal, my hope, my desire is that this will just slip down onto there. There we go. With a little lubrication, we're in a much better position. That's beautiful. Actually, that little ding you might have just heard there, that's Bart himself talking about the blade show. Good guy, that one. Frankie's pretty excellent as well. Okay. So now I'm just doing the reassembly here. The next step is going to be to pop this little locks guy in there. And so I'm going to put a coating of the oil on the inside here, just using the side of the applicator, just to make sure that it's in there and that it'll be good to go. Now I drop your locks onto there. Again, we're dinging. And put that there. A little bit of nano oil underneath the washer. A little bit of nano oil on top of the washer. Beautiful. Now, the one thing I'm not impressed with is the amount of relief in this little thing right here. I would really want a longer tab to stick down into there. I know it costs some money and whatnot, but that's a little ugly. Okay, now what? I'm gonna need to pop in the... I'll go ahead and put in the blade. And because I'm gonna over lubricate this, just gonna put a little bit into the pivot hole, and then I'm gonna drop some into the detent hole. Again, this will distribute this nicely. The finishing on the blade is not impressing me so much. It's still rather rough, but that's, you know, what do you want for this kind of a price point? I get the impression that more so than a lot of manufacturers, CRKT relies on unskilled final assembly labor, but more specifically to do things like grinding and whatnot. That's, you know, I see a lot of evidence of hand grinds, a hand finishing of parts that's not super well done, but it is clearly done by a human. And that's kind of always struck me as a little bit unusual, but whatever. Alrighty, now I've got a whole bunch of screws right in front of me here. Let's go ahead and start putting some of them back in there, shall we? Let's see here. How do I want to do this? I want to drop in my two back spaces. They're going to go here. And I believe... Oh, that's right, because these backspacer screws are hidden underneath there. So, I'm going to go ahead and put some evidence of white Loctite on there. The white isn't like a Loctite brand thing. It's just like a thread locker, generic sort of, whoa there, sort of thing. But I'm just going to use some blue instead. And I'm throwing back spaces. But I should be able to... Is that where that goes? Where does this go? So I should be able to, and I've completely screwed up everything I was doing over here, but alas, we got some complexity here. I'm just gonna see if I can't drop in this little screw to its little backspacer. Is that in the right position even? Am I crazy? Yeah, that screw just barely fits in there. All right. Come on now. This threading is not so stellar. There we go. Got it. All right. Although, wow, that ain't working. So some of these screws, oh, it must be these two screws for the other side of the back spaces, because that's, so what I'm noticing here, this is why I should have arranged my screws, is that this screw is protruded too far into the back spacer. That's not beautiful. But that's why you take your time, you think about it. If I truly get lost, what I'll probably end up doing is just rewinding the video, like pause the video, rewind, see what came out of where, but I haven't had to do that yet. I know it's coming, though, one of these days. Ah, little bugger. Come on now. There we go. So, that should work, like that. Stop pin goes back in, the locks is still in position. Now I believe we are in business, because this back spacer here goes into this hole. Then I need to place this back spacer into this hole, and to do that I will use this small screw with a little dab of blue. Whether I need to use Loctite in these holes down here is a question, because the screw can't actually fall out. I mean, it could loosen, and that would be ugly, but it can't fall out because it's going to be trapped underneath the G10 here. And that was giving me some resistance, so I'm just going to flip this around here. You never want to cross-thread a screw. That's always ugly when it happens. There we go. So now we've got these guys together. I'm going to go ahead and install the Graham clip on this side, because that'll provide a point of stability. And again, I'm not being the most efficient human being on the face of the earth here, but that's okay. And this Graham clip needs to go in the other direction. It needs to face the inside of the knife, so it's right over the liner here. And everything's falling apart, but that's okay. Life is a series of everything falling apart. Let's check the length of the screws. Yeah, that looks to be about right. Ay. Yeah, those 3 screws are the same length. These 2. Come on now. There we go. That's in. I use this screw over here. Another little bit of Loctite. Pop in there. Yep, that's in. Beautiful. Now this third longest screw. I don't know what this one's for. Maybe just to stabilize. Oh, I know what this is for. So this screw over here is to prevent the G10 from moving around, having torsional force or coming loose when this clip is not installed, because you can use the other tip up only, tip down only clip. But there we go. Hey, okay. There's a light at the end of the tunnel here. Okay, locks is in position. We're lubricated here. Beautiful. Now it's time for the reassembly. I'm going to go ahead and put the washer on there. The tolerances of this blade rattling around on this pivot do not bring me any joy. I'll say that much. Again, CRKT just... They get great designs, but they just make them so cheaply. It always frustrates me. It's like, I know you guys can do better. You've got such good stuff that you're working with, and then you just do this. Okay. So I'm going to try and align everything here. My biggest concern is the stop pin, honestly, because it's got a very fiddly... It's not very long. There we go. Holy crap, we're popped in. Okay. Now, before I lose that, I'm going to drop my stop pin in. I'm sorry, my pivot in there. Just use this to remove this bit. One downside to these drivers, switch back to T8 so I can get to the pivot. And actually, I see some gunk on this screw, so I'm just going to turn this screw inside the cloth for a second. And that'll remove some of that. Clean it up a little bit. Now, put another healthy dose of Loctite on there. Again, blue, never the red. And I'm not quite threaded properly. I'm pressing down on the lock bar here. A little bit, just to... Oh, the freaking lock system is in. That's why. And it's starting to strip. Okay, we're going to move to a different T8 bit immediately. That may even require T9 at this point, which is not very common, but it is useful. It's occasionally useful to have. If you have a T8 that's starting to strip out a little bit, it's still T8. This is an odyssey. We're looking at a 30-minute disassembly for this guy. Oh, CRKT, why you gotta do me like this? huge blade play, and it's already fighting me substantially. I'm wondering if maybe I'm not screwed in, like I'm cross-threaded or something? Or maybe there's just a bunch of gunk inside the pivot tube. Like we're fighting through years of old Loctite or something. Not in love with this, that's for sure. Make sure my stop pin's still in position. Alrighty. Hey, there we go. Sometimes using a little bit more Loctite can actually serve to be a can actually serve as a bit of a lubricant to get it locked in properly. No blade play. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so now I hope and I pray that I haven't screwed anything else up in the meantime, but it doesn't look like it. So, hey, hooray, jazz hands. Let's go ahead and put this thing the rest of the way together before this video gets any longer. It is always hilarious to me that inexpensive knives tend to take a lot longer to disassemble and reassemble than the expensive ones. Cheap knives are harder to deal with than nice ones. It makes sense at some very real level. If you cut corners, you're not going to, you know, count on somebody being able to or needing to reassemble a knife. But still, there's that. Drop this screw in. Again, just a little hint of Loctite here. I just said that using a little Loctite can be a decent lubricant if the whole, and that's true, and I'm not, but at the same time, be careful with that, because if you use too much Loctite, you're pretending it's a lubricant for the moment, and it is acting that way. But if you use too much of it, guess what? You're never getting that screw back out, and that's a different flavor of ugly entirely. This side is free spinning still, so I'll go ahead and do this. What the heck? Did the screw just strip out? No. I don't even know what went on there. I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe the backspace is stripped out. Well, what I'm going to do here is use a little bit of extra. Slide it back in here. What I'm going to try and do is back this side out just a tad. That should expose some new thread. Again, this is why you buy knives that are well made. I hate to pick on CRKT, because they're not the only people guilty of this, but by and large, holy crap. So much of what they make is just so badly done. And then, it, you know, when you do this, it's just, it's a struggle. And so you end up with knives that you can't really take apart or put back together. All right. So my centering somehow is fine. I don't have any blade play. This screw is questionable. But that's because they use questionable materials. But the action on this guy is much, much better now. You know, it's damn near fall shut and flies open nicely. So the knife is disassembled. This freaking lock system. And there you go. I hope this has been interesting for you. In many ways, the moral of this story is that if you've got one of these, you probably shouldn't take it apart, because it's just not well enough built to tolerate that on a regular basis. I got away with it this time, but I'm just not in love with how that went. But that's life. There we go. Hope this has been interesting to you, and have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.